everyone. A couple of minutes late, I apologize. Kind of getting myself ready. Okay. So I wanted to actually have my Modern Essentials book out because I feel like when it comes to doTERRA blends, they cover so much more than what a single oil would cover, because with a single oil, it's like a one bullet wonder, even though it covers sometimes up to 50 different things. With blends, you've got a little bit of this and that pulled together to create an even more intricate chemistry, and I want to make sure that I give it all the justice it deserves, because there's always things that you really don't think to use a blend for. And tonight I'm hoping to kind of surprise you a little bit with some of the ways that I use some of these blends. And just to keep it easy, what I'm going to do is start in order in which they come in the book. Alright, so I just kind of want to make sure that my video is working and I've got someone joining me. So if you're watching the recording, we will get started in just a minute as I kind of put this together. All right. And we actually have a lot of blends that are just fantastic, and the reason why I chose the ones that I did is because they are probably the most popular ones that we come across. So that's the ones that I wanted to do. So if you are joining me, sorry, my nose has an itch. If you are joining me, just say hi so I know this is working. So the first oil that we are going to talk about is Digestzen. So if you are, if you've been with us for a while or you are new, chances are you probably have tried this oil. It comes in most of the starter kits, but this oil is fantastic for just overall digestive health. Now, what does that mean? Let me get into that. So, digestive health is going to be anywhere from the mouth on the other end, okay? So what's so great about Digestzen is it's designed to kind of cling to those mucous membranes so that it can work its way through the digestive system. And you can take it a few different ways. You can take it topically by rubbing it over your belly, and a little trick, it's great for congestion. You can put it a little bit over your nose. It's not strong or spicy like peppermint would be, or even Breathe. It's a little bit more mild. What's really funny is a lot of times when I rub it on my belly, then later I notice that I'm breathing a little bit clearer, because that's how oils work. They get into the cells and they make their way to places where sometimes you're not expecting. So when I put it on my belly, I actually take the bottle and open it and kind of tap it on the stomach. I just find that's easier. Or you can put a few drops in your hand. For me, sometimes I do 3 to 4 drops on the stomach. Little kids, you would probably do less, and you're welcome to dilute it. Digestzen actually comes in the touch blend, which means it's pre-diluted in a roller bottle, which is perfect for children or people with really sensitive skin. Now, another way, let me backtrack. So on the stomach for small children and even infants, that's actually a really great way to help their developing gut grow to be really good in health. So a lot of times we have people, especially children, that grow up constipated, and when they start getting new foods introduced, their digestive system is kind of like, whoa. And so we want to support a healthy digestive system, and Digestzen is an oil that you can use every day. You can use it for preventative, you can just use it for good gut health, or you can use it if you actually have an issue. So Digestzen is going to be helpful for bloating, colitis, constipation, abdominal cramps. They actually work really well for menstrual cramps too, so both. Crohn's disease, diarrhea, food poisoning, gastritis, heartburn, nausea, parasites, and sinusitis. What did I say? Congestion. So these are the things that they're finding in research that it actually works with. So for example, I don't have it in here. I'd have to look it up in my other pages. So the other things that are in it, so it's got ginger. And actually ginger is really good to help reduce the feelings of nausea. When you apply it over the diaphragm, then it helps stop that reflux. And I have found actually it works really well. It's very rare that someone in our house throws up. So Digestzen is a good thing to have. It's got peppermint in it, it has tarragon, which is good for things like flatulence, intestinal spasms, nervous and sluggish digestive system, and also a urinary tract infection. Look at that. Fennel, caraway, and coriander, and then anise. So it affects the digestive system in a lot of different ways. And you can also take it orally and internally. So you can actually take a little bit of this, and I have done this when I fly or I get motion sickness. I just take a little bit of that oil and go like this. Another thing I like to do for motion sickness is put a little bit on those bones behind my ears. I love the taste of Digestzen. I know, I'm a little crazy, but I really, really do. So you can do that. You can add a little bit to a shot glass if you've got indigestion or heartburn and kind of the situation is right here. But what that did by putting it on my tongue is right away I'm breathing a little bit clearer. But the other thing I notice is it's activating my glands, and it's getting those mucous membranes going. So it's like very stimulating for that. So it's great for that. So let's say you're getting ready to eat a really heavy meal. You might want to add some Digestzen to your body before you do that. So if you have one of those problems where every time you eat out, you don't feel so hot, or if you eat certain foods and you kind of find you have some maybe intolerances to them, maybe not allergies, but some intolerances, you can add your Digestzen to your daily routine. You can also take the Digestzen that comes in a capsule. It's a slow release gel cap, and that's really helpful for people with chronic issues. Or if you're going to eat at a restaurant that you love, but you always get a horrible stomachache afterwards, then grab your Digestzen capsules. You can also get the Digestzen tabs, which are kind of like your little dissolving tabs that you can chew and then swallow, and they're kind of like a Tums. I really like those. I took those a lot when I was pregnant because of the heartburn. Okay, so the next oil that I want to talk about is On Guard. Oop, I lost it. There it is. So I love On Guard. I got to listen to a really cool presentation on Guard that a doctor had done. Actually, two doctors that I have seen do it. One was a dentist, and one was a like a research type of doctor that does a lot of research on communicable diseases. That's what it was. So this blend has been studied for its strong abilities to kill harmful bacteria, mold, and viruses. So any type of study, if you go to pubmed.gov and you look up On Guard essential oil, you'll probably find a lot of those studies out there if they've been posted. And it can be diffused in the air to clean and purify the air, or it can be used to spray on surfaces. One of the things that they discovered about On Guard, and just using it in a water with spray bottle, is that when you spray it on a surface and then you put bacteria on that surface, the bacteria growth is very minimal. So what that told me is I can clean my floor with it, and when my baby was crawling and scooching all over the floor, the chances of my dogs tracking in things like E. coli and parasites were less likely for them to actually flourish on the floor where the baby is putting his hands and then putting his hands in his mouth. So I really like that because my first child is in the hospital for salmonella poisoning. So I didn't want that to happen to my kids after that. So common primary uses for On Guard, oral. You can use it orally, which is why it's in the toothpaste. You can swish with it. It's really good for things like abscesses, even gum, where the gum has deteriorated and there's more of the tooth bone exposed. It's good for that. Any other kind of infections. One of the things I love doing is swishing with it and using my water pick, and then my mouth feels really fresh. I have heard of people reversing cavities and dealing with the pain from them as well with On Guard, but keep in mind things like that sometimes take a diet change. It's also good for air pollution. It's very antibacterial and antifungal, antiviral. It's great for bladder infections, UTIs. I actually have a fabulous protocol that involves On Guard, Melaleuca, oregano, applying into the belly for that kind of thing. It's good for things like candida, believe it or not. That's a yeast thing. Chronic fatigue, cleansing, cold sores, colds, coughs, flu, gum disease, halitosis, hypoglycemia, which is something I used it a lot for when I would just kind of spray a little bit on my tongue, and it helped kind of boost that blood sugar a little bit so that I felt a little bit better. Let's see, infections, lupus, mold, mono, MRSA. Actually, On Guard has been known to kill more strains of MRSA than traditional cleaners that they use in hospitals. You can find out more about that by Googling Vanderbilt Hospital, which is out of Nashville. Sore throat and staph infections and warts. So those are the things that you can use On Guard for. How do you use it? You can use it topically. When someone has a virus or some sort of illness coming on down the spine is a great way to use it. Add some coconut oil because it is a little bit spicy. For little kids, I like to use the On Guard Touch, which is the roller bottle, and I just take that and roll it down their spine and up and just kind of push that oil away from the spine so that way the body can fight off that virus a little bit more effectively. You can put it on the feet as well. I like to take the On Guard gel caps, which has On Guard, oregano, black pepper, and melissa in it. Whenever I'm not feeling so hot, I just pop 2 of those in, and maybe every couple of hours, and then the next morning I usually wake up just fine. I love diffusing On Guard just for the smell, but also to help clean the air during flu and cold season. So school is going back into session in about 3 weeks, and so I'm kind of thinking kids are going to start getting sick again, so we'll be using a lot of On Guard. It comes in a hand sanitizer, which you can spray on their little hands before they go off, or if you're a homeschool family, maybe before you go to the grocery store, or you know, go to a playground or whatever. So you can use it for that. Okay, so the next oil I'm going to talk about is Breathe. I love Breathe. It smells... Gosh, did you know Breathe comes in a throat drop? I was just getting ready to say, it's like I want to eat it, but it's not for that purpose. This is an aromatic and topical oil. You can apply it to the neck. I've done that when I start coughing. You can put a little bit under the nose if you're congested, or breathe it out of your hands, or what I just did. Out of the bottle is fantastic. You can apply it to the chest. So if you have chronic respiratory issues like asthma or COPD, you can apply it to the chest. Add a little bit of coconut oil if you want so it absorbs into the skin a little bit slower. It'll feel really good. You can put it on the feet. It's also a little cooling, so it's great for people that are doing action and activity outside on these hot summer evenings. Let's say you want to go to the track or ride your bike. Just put some of that Breathe down your spine and on your chest, maybe even across the lower back, and it's going to help keep you cool, and it's also going to help with circulation and help that those your lungs get more oxygenated so that you don't feel like you're doing that in the heat. So I love to diffuse this one at night. I have chronic congestion, so I'm always diffusing Breathe. And right now, my youngest is congested again. I don't think he has a cold. I don't know what's going on, shift in the atmosphere or something. So we've been using some Breathe on him at night, and you can use the Breathe in the Touch as well. That's pre-diluted, especially on little kids. I have no reason to even think that I shouldn't use Breathe Touch on my children. It is totally safe. If you're not comfortable with it, that's totally fine. But it is so mild when you use it with the fractionated coconut oil that it won't have that cooling, sharp sensation like it would have normally. So get your Breathe out. Another thing that I love Breathe for is stress and anxiety. And that's because when we're stressed or we're anxious, we forget to breathe. Do you do that? I totally do that. I was actually reminding my mom because she was stressed out and she started getting a headache, you know. Do you guys have that where stress causes you to feel not so hot? You start to feel sick and feel run down. Well, stress causes a lower immune response. So get your Breathe out and sit down and relax and start breathing it in. And remember to breathe. okay? That's really important. See, when we don't get enough oxygen into our body starts to send signals that are wrong signals to start different processes because we think that the body isn't getting enough oxygen. So what does that tell the brain? Well, I don't want to be too morbid, but it tells the brain, hey, we're done. Let's start kicking in and doing the things that we need to do because the body is done. So make sure you breathe, make sure you do what you need to do to get that oxygen into your body, and use your essential oils, because essential oils in the cells actually help the cells feel happy and bubbly and be more fluid and free within the body. They don't feel clustered and junked together and stagnant. Okay, so the next oil I want to talk about is Deep Blue. Who loves Deep Blue? This is a fantastic blend for pain and discomfort. And it's one of those oils I don't use every day, but if you struggle with chronic pain, you wake up, you have creaky ankles, or maybe you were playing too much during the day, or standing too long at work, or at the kitchen sink cooking dinner or whatever, you can just rub that oil. And what I like to do is I have my roller. I do like my roller over the dropper oil. And they have the rollers come in these nice stainless steels, so they don't come out as fast or as strong, so you can control the flow a little bit better. And what I like to do is then roll it, sorry, you're gonna see my feet, is I like to roll it just down my feet like that, and then I like to go up the ankles and around the ankles like that. And then sometimes I'll go like in between the toes, and this is no, this is not the diluted one. So then I'll just sit there and I'll just rub my fingers in between my toes and get that Deep Blue in there and just massage them up my ankle, and it feels really good. When I was pregnant with Samuel, I was using Deep Blue every single night for restless leg syndrome. Does anybody else have that? It's the worst. I hate it. So Deep Blue is good for things like arthritis, really any kind of pain, but right here it actually talks about back pain. And the back pain is a little bit different in that our back is the place where all the pressure in our body is, and so any weight that we have on our body that's not normal, or even if it's emotional weight, it really starts to take that spine and kind of like squish it in, and that makes our muscles tight and tense, and so that Deep Blue will help to kind of loosen everything up. If you go to the chiropractor, you can ask your chiropractor to use this instead of their BioFreeze. We actually have Deep Blue rub that can be used in place of BioFreeze. And it will help those adjustments happen a little bit easier. It's a great oil to use in between adjustments. So if you are a chiropractor or you know a chiropractor, tell them about Deep Blue. It might come in handy. It's good for bone pain as well. So like bone spurs, plantar fasciitis, well, it's not bone pain, but it's good for that as well. Bruises, bursitis, fibromyalgia, inflammation, joint pain, muscle aches and pain, muscle tension, tension for headaches and whiplash, and also menstrual cramps for us ladies. You can use Deep Blue really in place of any time you would use ibuprofen. Okay, so it contains wintergreen, camphor, peppermint, blue tansy, which is why it's blue, and the German blue chamomile too. Helichrysum, which actually is really good for helping to cleanse the blood and improve circulatory functions. Why is that important? Let's say you hurt yourself. It's really important for your body's circulatory system to be moving through that area and be bringing and replenishing what the body needs in order for healing. So Helichrysum helps support that process. Helichrysum is also known for helping tissues to start the repair process. We like to call it the tissue regeneration oil, which that's kind of a loose term to be using, but it does support that ability. All of our tissues have the ability to regenerate. In fact, I've read articles about after so many months or whatever, weeks, our entire body is completely regenerated. All the cells die off eventually and then are replaced and replicated with new ones. So this one affects the nervous system to the muscles and the bones. Isn't that cool? So that's how it's formulated. Now we have other oils that are great for pain, but they're formulated for different kinds of pain. Deep Blue is formulated specifically for inflammation and also for the nervous system and the muscles and bones. Okay? And it is safe to use on kids. Again, this one also comes in a touch blend, which means it's pre-diluted with fractionated coconut oil ready to go. So if you have ways that you love using Deep Blue, feel free to share, and we'd love to hear it. So the last oil is Serenity, and this is actually our BOGO oil. So when you buy Serenity today, you get a lavender for free. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this one because I already did, oh actually I did not do a video for you guys. So I will share with you. So Serenity is going to be your oil that you're going to use for rest and calming, but it's also good for stress. It's good for adrenal fatigue and other kinds of like fatigue that comes on because of stress. It's good for restlessness at night when you're trying to sleep, or if you wake up at night because you wake up normally and you can't get back to sleep. So use your Serenity. Have it diffusing in your room. I've had people tell me that Serenity actually helped them to replace a sleeping medication that they've used in the past. It's also really helpful for pain. We actually used Serenity a couple years ago for sugar bites. We got bit so bad, and they were just thick on our hips and our legs. And Serenity, I could not believe how well it worked for that itch specifically, because that is a pretty aggressive itch. So let me find that one really quick. Here it is. Okay, so Serenity is great for things like ADD and ADHD. That's why we use it in our house. And it's really good for anger and anxiety. It's calming. It's great for hyperactivity. Do you guys have kids that are a little hyper? I was telling a story about at night when we tell our kids it's time to go to bed. Our kids are not very compliant. They always are surprised. Like, what? We went to bed last night. Why do we have to do that again? And so I'm always ready to have the Serenity on hand. And actually, one of the things that they started doing is looking forward to bedtime because they get to use their nighttime oil. So they'll grab that Serenity and they put it on the bottoms of their feet. Sometimes they put it right on the wrists or even on the back of the neck. And I do this for the baby too. It's great for insomnia. It's also good for itching. We talked about that. And mental fatigue, mood swings. It's a sedative. It's for sleep, stress, teeth grinding, and tension. It's great for tension, actually. If you were to put it right here on the jaw, it can be really helpful for that grinding, or if someone has TMJ or maybe teething, you can put it like down here or on the outside. So it's great for that as well. So those are other ways that you can use Serenity. I'm trying to think. One of the things I love doing with Serenity is adding wild orange to it. It makes it calming and uplifting at the same time. Serenity also has Ling Ling in it, and what that means is it has an oil in it that makes you happy. Ling Ling is a very happy oil, and it's not just like happy and uplifting like wild orange is. It's actually happy like it gets into your soul or something. So I love that. Also, Ling Ling is a great oil for husbands and wives after the kids are in bed. Hint, hint. So you'll definitely want to use that one. So those are the top 5 blends that I actually love to talk about. And if you don't have those on hand, definitely get them. Serenity, if you order that, you can order up to 5 this way. Today, you can actually get lavender with those for free. So I hope this was helpful. I'll be saving this and uploading it to YouTube, and make sure that I share it with those that follow us through email. All right, guys, have a really great evening.